Hey guys, how you doing today? Ryan Hamer here. Hope you guys are doing well. Just out for my morning walk. And today I want to talk to you guys about your credit report and when you update Equifax or TransUnion. Meaning, I had a client the other day who was relying on Borrowwell and Credit Karma for his credit information. He came and he told me his problem, and I said, okay, tell me what you got. First question I had, what is the date of last payment? He wasn't too certain, and then when he checked, of course, Borrowwell and TransUnion, the information is somewhat limited because they take a snapshot of your credit bureau report. And so I said to him, you know what? Just so we can compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges to make sure that we have the accurate reporting data, sign up for Equifax and TransUnion. Pay the fee or whatever it costs, just get it done. He came back to me and we looked over and I said, okay, here's a problem here, here's a problem there, and this is what it's saying. Obviously there were some discrepancies that I was able to pick out, which he acknowledged. But what happened after that was automatically he started getting calls, he started getting emails, and he got letters from different collection agencies and stuff like that. So what happens is when you update when you update your information, your profile with these guys, with the credit bureaus, it automatically sends out a trigger or a notification. Because remember, you're not only their client, right? You're not only the credit bureau's client. The collection agency, they either have a backdoor access, or they have, they pay a monthly fee as well. They pay a fee so that they're provided with information about you, updates about you. So in this regard, they kind of informed on him. They kind of informed, and they told the collection agency where to find him. This is his email address. This is his current address. So send off whatever you need to send off. So I tell you guys this story so that you understand the credit bureau is not your friend. They are a for-profit entity. And you pay a monthly fee, be that as it may. You are their client, but you are not their priority. Keep that in mind. The credit bureau's responsibility, they don't really have a duty of care to keep accurate records. And they don't. They only notify you if there have been any changes to your credit bureau report if you hold a membership with them, right? Because think about it. If you weren't signed up with them, there's no way you would know of any changes, significant changes to your credit bureau report profile. If you are a client of theirs, collection agency or what have you, you definitely would be in the know. So they're really eating out of both ends of the trough, sucking and blowing at the same time, so to speak. Pardon the analogy, but that's truly what's happening. So they get away with it. Remember, credit bureaus are a for-profit entity, so they make money off of you and they make money off of them. And it's not really within their best interests to make sure that information is 100% accurate. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the manpower to go through every single credit bureau report with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that the information is 100% accurate and legit. The onus of that responsibility falls on you. So I say this to you so you can be more diligent in recognizing whenever there's an issue with your credit report, If you have a debt, it's your responsibility to go onto your credit bureau report and look through it. If you pay off a debt, if you pay something, if you have something that you've worked on or what have you, and you make a payment, make sure that that's not showing on your credit bureau report. Or make sure that it is showing on your credit bureau report, depending on the situation. For example, if there is an item that is not, and I say N with a big N, N-O-T, not listed in your credit bureau, but you do have a collection agency calling you, you have to make the conscientious decision as to, will this get worse? What are the consequences of me not paying this debt? Will it appear on my credit bureau report? Because sometimes you can have a situation where you pay a debt, right? You work with a collection agency and you pay off the debt. You settle or whatever. They provide you with a release letter, but they don't update the credit bureau. Sometimes that's a good thing, and other times that's a bad thing. That's a good thing if there's no information on the credit bureau regarding that said debt. But you have a release letter from the collection agency stating that the debt is no longer a factor. So what happens is sometimes you'll have multiple, or one or two collection agencies coming after you for the same debt. And what happens if you pay one? The other one could get you into trouble, because what they'll do is they'll end up going on putting the debt on your credit bureau report and then try to come after you and collect you for the money. Because the collection agencies, they're different entities, they're different companies. They don't really communicate unless they're owned by the same company. One of the sneaky things that collection agencies do is, like, if it's a big company, they'll also have a smaller subsidiary, and they will pass the debt over to that subsidiary and have that subsidiary come after you. So they're keeping the debt in-house and passing it around like a hot potato. And that can be an issue for you, especially if you've already paid the debt and it's coming back to bite you. Then you have to go through the whole rigmarole of fighting with the collection agency, well, pretty much the credit bureau, because if you have a release letter, you're good as gold. You don't have to deal with the collection agency, but you could simply call the collection agency and tell them to use their back office channels and remove the debt from the credit bureau, because it shouldn't be there. And it was sorted before it was even on your credit bureau. But see, and that's another sneaky thing too, because what they'll do, some collection agencies, remember, these places are for profit, so they don't have your best interests at hand, right? They don't have your best interests in mind. What they might do is they might just throw it on your credit bureau report as a debt that you owed and a debt that was paid, even though it was never there to begin with. So that's another thing that you got to worry about. So that's why I always say, when you're determining what you're going to do with regards to a debt that's with the collection agency, you really have to make a strategic play. You have to make a strategic play, because it might not work out for you if you just try to pull it off. I mean, you just pay it off thinking you're free and clear. Sometimes if they're lax, they won't put it on. Sometimes if they're wicked, they will put it on. Sometimes you get a stickler working there who will just put it on. So just keep that in mind. And then you got to go through the fight. But my whole point is, it's the reporting. You got to be aware of you don't know. And the thing is, sometimes you don't know whether they will report it or not. You don't know whether they're going to report the particular debt to the credit bureau or not. And you don't know what kind of contact the credit bureau has with that particular collection agency. Because it's been my understanding that you call to dispute, or you write to dispute the credit bureau, they're quick to say, yeah, we're looking into it. And what they will do is they will simply contact the collection agency, and they will say, hey, do you have this debt? Collection agency will say, yes, we do. We do have this debt in our office. Credit bureau will say, okay, thank you very much for verifying. So they're not really verifying whether the debt is legitimate. They are just verifying whether the debt exists. Do you understand the difference? They're not verifying whether the debt should be there. No. They're verifying whether they legitimately have that debt at all. So knowing this should show you that you have to be particularly careful with regards to what you say, how you say it, and the direction in which you go with respect to your dispute. Because it's not always smooth, and it's not always butter, it's not always gravy. It can be a little tricky, it can be a little complicated, and not always in your favor. Because there have been quite a few times where I've had to write a dispute letter, and it's not something where it just goes like that. I'd have to do it a couple of times. And that's another thing I'll tell you. Don't expect to get a satisfactory answer from your first attempt at a dispute letter with the credit bureau, or collection agency for that matter. But I wanted to start this whole, the whole purpose of this video. I know I've gone off on a couple of tangents. Sorry for that. I tend to do that a lot. But I wanted to talk to you guys about what happens when you contact the credit bureau first, and how they will update your file with any additional information that you've provided that is new than what was previously there, because you have a file with them, and a lot of you don't even know that you have a file with them, with the credit bureaus. And this file is updated by you whenever you apply for a credit card, whenever your credit bureau is touched, whatever new information that you have provided the potential lender, that's what's put in there. Then when you actually decide, hey, you know what, I want to look at my credit bureau report, you decide to you log in and all that stuff and give them your new information or your existing information. There's a cross-reference that goes on, and then they let you in. Then you see what's there. You see what other people have been saying and talking about you and stuff like that, right? You see what they've been reporting. Some of it will be accurate, some of it won't be. For example, you might see credit cards missing and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. So this is when you go, as I said before, when you go into your credit bureau report for the first time, you should be writing stuff down, taking notes. Go in with a pad and paper, and then you take notes. If anything looks suspicious, if anything looks out of place, if the slightest thing looks out of place, then you take note of it. Good morning. Right? So if something looks out of place and you take note of it, you write it down, and then you cross-reference it with your records to see what's what and what's not. But anyhow, I don't want to go on too long about it. I think you guys got the gist and you got the point. Please feel free to like, share, and comment. And if you have any suggestions for other videos that you'd like to see me talk about, anything else, and all things credit you want to see me talk about, please feel free to make that suggestion. And until next time, have a good one.